You ready? Good morning. Welcome to the Monday, September 19th press conference meeting. We're certainly glad to have you. We've got a lot of good things to talk about. Unfortunately, I'd like to just, on a little bit more somber, before coming here today, had a chance to attend the visitation of Lloyd Leslie Fleming Jr., who was a fire chief here at the City of Pensacola for a long time. He was also the son of a fire chief. He basically, for 98 years, was involved in the fire service up until his death on September 11th. Right now, most of our fire department is over there at the funeral that's going forward. I had a chance to stop by the services before getting here, but certainly wanted to recognize and appreciate the service, what Chief Fleming has meant to our city and to our fire department, and acknowledge that. And there's some good things we're going to talk about fire department in just a second, but I did at least want to acknowledge that. Several other things that happened this past week. I thought one of them that was very big. Certainly appreciate the opportunity. Rally Foundation, what they do for trying to raise money for childhood cancer research and awareness. Certainly the awareness part we were able to take care of Thursday night, and this is the month. They've painted the trestle. They've done a number of different activities out there trying to bring people's awareness to childhood cancer, and certainly having a great pediatric hospital does allow us to be a little bit on the forefront of that, in good and bad ways. Certainly we get a chance to create some of that engagement with individuals. Unfortunately, we see far too many childhood cancers going on, but this is certainly one of those things that this month is about, and trying to raise awareness that people understand what's going on. I think the proclamation we did said only 4% of spending for cancer research is on childhood cancers, and certainly we have a number of those, and because we have a pediatric hospital, we do have a number of people seeking treatment for children's cancer. So again, trying to make people aware of what's going on, and I appreciate all the work that Rally does and the individuals that were here the other night as those children continue their fight. And we're certainly appreciative of and certainly in support of what's going on with them, and certainly at our pediatric hospital, all those that are facing challenges like childhood cancer. Also, this weekend was the Hispanic Heritage Month Gala and proclamation. I was there, had a chance to see John there at the event. It was a nice event. Grace McCaffrey does a great job. I had a chance, like I said, last Thanksgiving, she had the diplomat from Mexico to the state of Florida down in Orlando. He was up here working with some things. I had a chance to meet with them. Certainly worked with Grace for a long time. I was at Escambia County. Know her well. Working through that, it was great to have the Hispanic Heritage Month and the gala that was there. It was a great evening at Bayview Park. Unfortunately, I was double booked, so I had to get there and say the proclamation, and then I had to leave. But it looked like, John, a great event, and hopefully y'all had a lot of fun, and it looked like it was going to be a very nice night. And I thought Grace did a great job, and just wanted to recognize, certainly a part of that. We're certainly working very diligent to tell all the stories in the city of Pensacola, and that's certainly one of those. And we very much appreciate the contributions that our Hispanic heritage culture makes to our community. As I said, from almost our founding as a city, we've been a part of Hispanic heritage. So the city of Pensacola has a long long intertwined cultural tie with our Hispanic community. So the city of Pensacola also, going on to the things that are happening, we want to talk about this week. I know Casey sent out to y'all, or sending out to you, the engagement survey results that saw improvement again, and really sort of encapsulate the improvement we've made since 2019. The city has completed our 4th annual City Employee Engagement Satisfaction Survey, which shows a consistent increase in employment engagement over the past 4 years. The city has risen from the 39th percentile for employee engagement in 2019 to the 67th percentile in 2022 when compared with other organizations nationwide. And I will say, of all those institutions that are in there, we are the only public one that's a part of that. Most of these are private companies. The 2022 survey showed that 69% of our employees are satisfied to work for the city of Pensacola, and 60% of those employees are highly engaged in their work. I'm proud to see this improvement in employee engagement in the City of Pensacola team, and we will certainly be sharing those results on our website and Facebook page. Again, I know I've talked at length with the mayor-elect, and I know he's very metrics-based, and he's going to continue doing things just like this and probably expanding off what we've done. But I think it was a very good way for us to tie what we're doing and get our employees very engaged in what we're doing. And every year we've seen an increase and an improvement of what we're doing. So I think that's why allows us to deliver the best service to you. And again, in talking with the mayor-elect, I think he's going to be very metrics focused. So that will continue to happen, and I wish him the best in continuing to make that continue to rise. The Pensacola Fire Department going above and beyond. The Pensacola Fire Crews are being commended for their thorough and professional response to a food truck fire last week, going above and beyond to minimize damage while safely extinguishing the fire. No one was injured on the fire, which occurred at the Rusty Spoon food truck at approximately noon on Wednesday, September 14th. Located and extinguishing the fire required teamwork from everyone on scene. PFD Engine 4 and Ladder 11 responded to the call and found smoke coming from inside the truck. They began working methodically to locate the source of the smoke. Rather than using hooks to rip off the plywood and cause further damage, the crews took great care to disassembly only was necessary to locate and extinguish the fire. And certainly that was great work by the Pensacola Fire Department. They do an amazing job. That's what you would expect from an ISO 1 rated team. And they were able to take care and eliminate the danger, but also create very minimal, impact on what happens. So very proud of continue the work they do. Parks and Rec, we're going to have a big ceremony on Thursday. Hope you'll have a chance to come out and join us at 5:30 Thursday at the Hispanic Optimist Park, located at 3221 Langley Avenue. We'll be taking a ribbon cutting for again, what we've done there at our main entrance to our soccer field. The City of Pensacola invites the community to the ribbon cutting ceremony on Thursday, September 22nd, to celebrate the improvements of Hispanic Optimist Park soccer field and kick off the 2022 Pensacola youth soccer season. Again, we were able to get some play done last year, but we had a number of things we were working through. Obviously, still continuing to go through some COVID things, so we did not do as much of a recognition as we wanted to, and wanted to show that. Just amazing to see what soccer's taken off and what it continues to do. Certainly Pensacola State now getting very active and going to have a women's team. So it's exciting to see the opportunities that are there. Like I said before, I think soccer, like no other, is a great sport that offers opportunity for play for regardless of gender. In fact, it's very active, both men's and women's. So again, very excited to see this sport doing so well. We're excited to see it happening with such strength here in the City of Pensacola, and we're really glad to see other opportunities. You can go; it'll be a stone's throw basically there from Hitzman Optimist Park right over to Pensacola State College, and who knows what opportunities may lay ahead for some of those individuals to again pick up a game and then allow it to lead them forward in an education. So we're very excited to see what will be there, and we hope you will join us. We also, this is a reminder that District 3 will be having a town hall meeting next week. I'll be hosting a District 3 town hall meeting with Councilman Casey Jones at 5:30 on Tuesday, September 27th. The town hall will take place at the Gull Point Resource Center located 7000 Spanish Trail. We encourage all citizens to come provide their input and discuss their priorities and goals for the City of Pensacola. Also, this is a reminder that youth council applications are due on September 30th. The City of Pensacola is accepting applications for the Pensacola Youth Council, which is a program for area high school students interested in becoming involved in their community, learning the inner workings of local government and sharpening their leadership skills. Applications for the program are due next Friday, September 30th at 4 p.m. The program will run from October 2022 to May 2023. So please visit the cityofpensacola.com website, and we hope you will fill out an application, or City Facebook for more details on how to apply. Please, if you know somebody out there, a high school student, certainly a junior, senior, that fits those things, we would love to have them participate. We had 28 students last year. I thought the program was incredibly good opportunity. They learned a lot. They learned a lot about leadership. We gave them the chance to go to Tallahassee, and they worked on their own project. So I see Lawrence Powell in the back and Casey Powell. They're doing great work in making sure our youth are prepared to move forward and get leadership skills. So we're very happy about that. Also, this weekend is our neighborhood cleanup. Mayor's neighborhood cleanup will be Saturday, September 24th in a portion of Scenic Heights neighborhood, the Spanish Trail area. Visit cityofpensacola.com to check the map to see if you're in the cleanup area. Neighborhood cleanups allow City of Pensacola sanitation customers to leave cleanup eligible items at the curb for free pickup, and we hope you will take advantage of that. Lastly, we are doing an import survey for cultural affairs. This is a reminder that Cultural Affairs Community Input Survey is available online through this Friday, September 23rd. We encourage everyone to take the survey, especially if you're interested in the arts or involved in local arts organizations. All input is welcome. You do not have to be a City of Pensacola resident to complete the survey. Visit cityofpensacola.com or the City of Pensacola's Facebook page for the online survey link. So we hope you will take time to do that. Well, that's kind of the things we wanted to talk about. I know Casey will be getting out some of our information if you have any further questions. Otherwise, we look forward to, hopefully we'll see you Thursday. I think that'll be a big event over there at Hitzman Optimus. But again, that's sort of where we stand at this particular time. I'm happy to answer any and all of your questions. Jim.
On Thursday, the City Council passed the action item about the audit on REAP and conducting more oversight for that. Can you give us an update on that? How is that going?
And again, we'll be getting with Amy about the audit and what's the intention and what we want to get done. I have talked at length. I know there were some things expressed to the police. I know I've talked with Chief, and I think his whole issue is, well, nobody's come forward and made any charges, allegations. So it's kind of hard for him to investigate something. If somebody does, they will, by all means, they'll investigate and do whatever. Right now, we're going to do an internal investigation of the financial part. I would say, Jim, what I said the other night, I think is the biggest impact is certainly what's going on with code enforcement. We do know that as of Thursday night, they had everything they'd done in 2 weeks. We had gone out there. They had totally complied with all the code enforcement issues that were brought to their attention. And I know Steve Richards and his team have been doing that. Along those same lines, I think we've kind of talked, about having code enforcement once a week, just stop by there proactively and see what's going on. And we don't normally do that, but in this case, because of things that have happened, we're more than happy to at least take a little bit of a proactive look and just stop by and see what's going on every week and checking those things out. At least what I was told by Steve and his team, certainly I see Amy back there, what I was told when they went and looked at the site, and the new manager, I think the new manager was there Friday night and spoke to the council. It seems like, from everything I've heard from Steve Richards, that they've been on top of it. They've been very willing to work with city code enforcement and getting all those things corrected. So from that standpoint, we'll continue to look and see what we can do on that. I do think REAP is like I said before, I think they got, they admitted as much that night. Vinny said, they got very focused on getting people into the respite center. And so at this particular time, they seem to be focusing now more on making sure that what was done. But I mean, News Journal went out there in the spring, and everything was great there at the camp. I think the camp can function well. I think the camp needs to function a lot fewer people, and I think REAP also agrees that the number of people they should be handling are smaller. But I mean, like I said Thursday night, Jim, if we don't do something with the continuum of care, I am very worried about where we will eventually go. But if we have a good path for people to go from the camp to a shelter to transitional housing and beyond, I think we're going to have a good system that really works on getting people back on their feet and getting them help and getting them moving forward and not warehousing. I mean, that's the thing I worry most about. But I think we have some good things in place, and along those lines, again, it certainly has functioned very well while it's been open. It was not functioning well in August. I don't know what the case was. Obviously, they've changed management. with that said, I said last week, I said, listen, Melissa Johnson has been incredibly helpful for us in different places. I don't know, maybe her talents lay in a different place other than camp management, but she's been very helpful in working with us and what the police department has done in working to get people help, and we're going to continue to do that.
Any idea of how long the audit is going to take? Or?
At this point, I don't know. I have to talk with Amy Lavoie and figure out where we go from there and what will happen. But those are things that we're just starting to look at. And I think there's a variety of things that were discussed Thursday night that were, some of them don't lead to all the answers. I think it's kind of a combination. I think one, the financial audit will tell us where the finances are, and I think that's important. But I also think the code enforcement side is going to be important, and I have no problem sending code enforcement there on a weekly basis just to check it out.
So is the code enforcement going to be doing the council added the language about more oversight of the camp? Is that what this
Well,
code enforcement?
again, I mean, we have contracted with REAP. REAP needs to provide the oversight, and they need to do something like that. What I think code enforcement does is to make sure there are no violations that we know that are there and perhaps not being addressed. And I think if we're weekly there, we can speak to that. But I think as far as camp oversight, that still needs to come from REAP, and they need to be focused on that diligently.
How can the usually oversight is done by an outside party or an agency or level above? I guess how can an organization do oversight over itself? I guess that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I mean, proper management's oversight. I mean, the Pensacola News Journal, they have they oversee their reporters. They don't ask for a third party to come in and manage all. I mean, I assume they manage you themselves. I mean, we ask all of our departments to manage themselves. That's part of what we do. As far as administration, we manage the internal parts of city organizations. So I mean, clearly our expectation is that REAP will offer better oversight of that. As far as the rest of it, I mean, we're going to go by there and check and not make sure that there are any code enforcement issues that are either occurring or festering. And certainly I think if we're there once a week, we don't do proactive code enforcement, and that's not really something we do. But I mean, I'm more than happy to work with it on this case because I think there are a lot of different things that are working there, and I think, I'm more than happy to, people want us to see us out there code enforcement, I'll look at that. Yes.
I wondered if you had anything to say about Councilwoman Barrera's comments regarding the hospitals, the process when it came down.
Well, I thought, thank God the City of Pensacola has taken and gotten REAP going and gotten the respite center off the ground, because where would we be right now if we didn't have the respite center where they ended up bringing that person? I mean, the hospitals are going to do what they're going to do. I mean, they're overseen by federal and state requirements, and they're going to do what they're going to do. Thank goodness the city was there to have REAP. If we hadn't had the respite center, what would have happened then, Jeremy? I mean that would have been a terrible situation that was able to be averted, mainly because REAP was able to take the individual and then work to get them in a proper setting, and certainly appreciated Councilwoman Barrera taking the action she did, but none of that would have happened without REAP. So very, very thankful that they were there to fill in the gap, and that's the whole purpose of what the city has been trying to do with standing up these organizations. I will remind you, everyone's like, well, all of a sudden we had this homeless problem. Well, it didn't just happen in a vacuum. It happened because of COVID, and we went from having shelters and everything else to having nothing, and so we've worked very diligently over this time to stand back up some things. And I think whether it's the women's shelter, whether it's the respite shelter, whether it's Bright Bridges, whether it's Dream Center, all of these things, one way or another, contribute at least to being some type of sheltering that can work with what we're doing with the city.
Mayor, with the city's appropriations in, how do you see all of this effort sustaining itself?
I think the first time, and granted, it's going to be I think the whole idea is this is going to really take the next administration. This is going to be a big issue for them. I think the things that between where they go on a permanent situation with homelessness and where they go with affordability of housing is going to be a challenging part on both fronts. But I think we've got it set in the right direction on both points. I said I was on a radio show this morning and I was asked the question. I said the hard part about homelessness is not any one thing. The hard part is you're having to do multiple things at one time, including that affordable housing component is one of the things that you do, because you got to be creating housing always at the other end. You got to be addressing the shelter, but then you've got to move through the shelter to transition, and then you've got to figure out the affordable housing. You got to be doing all of it at the same time. So I think as we come out of that, there's no doubt that that's going to be part of the challenge that the next administration is going to have. But very clearly, when we even had Marbut here, the one recommendation he gave to us is that we as a city need to begin to establish something in our own operations for the sustaining of this. So at some point, right now we've got a couple of years that what we were able to do with ARPA gave us a couple of years, and I think at some point that will have to happen. Future councils, future mayors will have to figure out how that gets incorporated into the budget. But I mean that comes clearly from even the Marbut recommendations back to the city is you've got to start allowing for this in your own general fund. So I do think at some point, once we get it up and running, I think there'll be some kind of ongoing operational costs that the city probably will have to commit to. But I mean, the city's doing a lot of different things. Part of it is at the homeless, at the shelter end, and part of it's going to be on the opposite end, trying to get the affordable housing. So a little bit of both. I think the affordable housing, and we had a plan in place, and we slightly tweaked that plan. I had a good meeting this past week. I met with CEI, who had talked about apartments and maybe rental stuff. And I think we've done a real good job of looking, I think, at home ownership, where we've done a less of a good job as dealing with renters. And I think the gentleman here that came from Civicon, Shane, that was one of the things he talked about. Your renters are your most vulnerable group, and how do you protect them? And maybe in doing that program that we were about to do with housing, the problem is housing too. When you go to ownership, you lose control of it. But if we could find a partner that would be willing to partner with us and build rental units, we can still have those rental units, and we can still control those. If other people leave, it's still controlled rental units that we could work with. So I had a good conversation with them. I think there's some things on if we get some of those larger parcels that maybe could do a duplex or a quadplex. We could produce more units, and we could have put those into the rental market, which I think is something we really need. Like I always say, it's interesting. I can remember in the late 70s, early 80s, my father had an office on Roost Street, right over there just north of Cervantes, and I used to go to it all the time. We used to go over to Hopkins, and not only was the Hopkins house a boarding house, but there were multiple houses in North Hill that were actually boarding houses where people had rooms, and that's what they had. So, everybody talks about, well, the problem we have today is we have all these short-term rentals, and they do create a problem. But think about how many houses in North Hill we had that used to be boarding houses of some sort that had multiple people living in them, and now there's pretty much all single-family residential. So in that one swoop, you lost a lot of housing. And I think sometimes you don't think of it that way, but you could lose a lot of housing in a very short amount of time. And to an extent, we made it up in different places. But I think now we're seeing that perhaps in those neighborhood commercial settings, those duplexes, those quadplexes are important. I think North Hill and East Hill are very successful neighborhoods we have that have done a good job of mixed income. I think everything, when you listen to people talk about stuff, they talk about mixed income and how these are successful neighborhoods that have really residents at almost all levels of the income scale, but they live together, they work together. It works very well. And I think when you look at an East Hill, when you look at a North Hill, I see very workable places where we've been able to sustain that. So I think some of those things tell us about models we've had in the past and what can work. And I think it's embracing some of those things. So, we're constantly changing. I've talked to Marcy, I've talked to Meredith. We're looking, as we incorporate this new housing plan, that we're definitely going to have some ownership housing, but we probably are going to somehow find a way to incorporate rental housing into that as well. And I don't think I would have ever thought of that without that Civicon speaker, because he was the first one that when I really analyzed what we were doing, I was like, we do a lot of things for home ownership, and we're very focused on home ownership. But really, our most vulnerable people at this particular time are our renters, and I think we got to do a better job of trying to address rental housing. And so I think we got to be focused on also creating supply in rentals, and I think that's why those duplexes and those quadplexes will be important as the city moves forward.
Mayor, just a follow-up question on the homeless. As of September 1st, I understand, Lakeview and Bright Bridges haven't drawn down on any of the approved ARPA funding. Have you talked to those organizations?
I don't know. I know Bright Bridges only just really opened up just recently. Our money was not for facilities; it was mainly for the operations. Correct. So I don't know if Bright Bridges was not as much in the programming side because they just got open. So I mean, Jim, that very easily could be part of it. But the idea is that's to sustain them for a while. It's very good to have them back open, and that's about 30, 35 people or so that we have a place for them to be, and the Methodist Church has been very, that's a mission of theirs. I mean, they're very focused on trying to do that. They're doing a great job. It was unfortunate what happened, but I think at the same time, it's good to see now that everything that's over there in that building is up to code and everything else, and I think we're going to be stronger coming out of this. Lakeview, I don't know. I'd have to find out more what they're doing. I know they're very active with Lawrence, with you and the team in responding. So they've been a part of our response. I don't know what they're or why they haven't or what they're going to do. That I couldn't tell you. You probably need to ask Lakeview. But it's not like they haven't been active, Jim, in what we're doing. They are part of the team that goes to these places when we try to do assessments. And I know I've talked with their team that they're trying to do that as well. Again, we've put it out there. I know that they're both working with us. I think I totally understand the Bright Bridges thing because it really only just got operational in July. So I expect they'll be drawing down now as they're open and operating. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate y'all being here today, and have a good week. I think we should have a lot of sunny weather. Join us on the 22nd at Hitzman. We look forward to seeing you there for the soccer complex. Thank you.